Good morning.
How are you?
All right, and yourself?
Sleepy.
Uh,
Ah, hopefully this I don't think my I don't think my tea is decaffeinated. But it probably only got like a few drops of caffeine. Hopefully it'll kick me through. I'm not even a caffeine person like that, but I am sleepy. And I don't know why. I went to bed at 9 o'clock. But I guess I had to get back up because I had some unfinished business to do. And so maybe the break in my sleep.
that was
But how you
probably it.
That's probably it. Probably it. And then I'm thinking about all the things I got to do today. How are you? How was your week?
It was okay. It was
Wait a
weekend
minute.
as
Hold
usual.
up. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, the little shift in the thing. I see a little. Okay, wait. Okay. All right, look, I notice things. I'm a noticer of things. I pay attention to detail. I like that. That's so warm and inviting and cozy. Got the little look. Your
Thank
green plant look good. My baby back here, y'all. Please forgive her. Y'all know I was out of town last week, and then this week I haven't even been in my office, so I didn't even know she looked like this. But I gave her a little drink before today, so hopefully next week she'll look
There you
more
go.
vibrant than she does, because she's a real one right here. These two are real ones,
Yeah, yes, yes.
and I'm. It looks like I'm committing planticide or something. I don't know, but I love her. I love her. I do. I do. I have probably about 50 plants in my house. Yeah, I think I got 50 plants in my. I try to have a plant in every room for the air quality or whatever it
Right.
was that provide the oxygen and the zen and all of the things. And so, yeah. But you had a good week.
Yep. How about you?
It was okay. It was okay. Busy, busy, chuckling on a lot of things. I had a we had a House of Delegates meeting this week. We also had, or I'm sorry, a House of Delegates hearing this week. And then we also had my state executive, well, not executive board, but the state board meeting. So quite interesting this week and learned a lot of things, just a lot of things that eventually we're going to share. But yeah, so it's been learned, well, this will play probably somewhat into my church announcement, but KHIM as a accrediting body learned a few things about them, or was reintroduced to a few things about them. So
Okay.
that's interesting as well. But other than that, it was cool. It was cool. It was good. It wasn't the same as the South Carolina. South Carolina owes me. Charleston owes me nothing. I had a ball. It was great. I was on a bus trip with my mom and 30 something odd senior individuals. It was a lady on our trip that was 100 years old. She was in her
Wow.
to see and do and talk. Um, Went to a tea plantation, went to um, I think it's sea cotton. I know I'm butchering it, but there's different types of cotton, and they had their own special cotton in Charleston. I think it's sea cotton. It's real silky. It's like silk. It's beautiful when you feel it. It's like ooh. Um, and that plantation tour was absolutely probably the I'm probably gonna get canceled. Look, the wokest plantation tour I ever been to in my entire life. Dude pulled no punches. He didn't play no games. He called a spade a spade. He was like it was like being with you all over
Oh
again.
Lord.
He was like, while we here at this family's plantation, I don't even want y'all to focus on them. It ain't even about them. It's about the people who lived and worked on this land. And da da da. I mean, he went all the way in. I was like, is everybody's tour like this? Do we get a special tour? Do you do this all the time? He was the greatest. he was so he was it, and I learned on that particular plantation, the people went broke and lost the house, and somebody else got the house back, and in the middle of it, parcels of the land was sold off, but they still kept a row of the houses the 300 square foot houses that 20 people could potentially live in. Folks were still living in them houses in 1980.
Wow.
I said, did you say 1980? He was like, yes. I said, my God, today. Okay. So it was off the chain, but it was great. And then I got some water. We did a tour of the, what's the Fort Sumter. We could have stayed. We didn't have to do that. That one I didn't understand. I was like, we just traveled all the way over here. Just okay. So I got back on the boat. Like, no, we could have just did a regular, just be on the water. That would have been for me. But other than that, it was a great trip. It was a great trip. How about you?
Good.
How was your weekend?
It was good. I didn't really do too much. Just did some review and prep for my classes. That was it.
Okay. I see you over here on the LinkedIn land. I said, well,
Yeah.
look at here. Somebody came on over. Dibbling and dabbling over here in the land.
Just
Great,
a little.
great content. I see you. I see you.
Thank you.
I see you. All right. Well, let's get this party started. Welcome, everybody, to our Saturday morning tea. Here we brew up the hottest topics in healthcare. We discuss health information, news, education, our weekend, pulling no punches, plant aside, all the things, including certification tips and entrepreneurship, and basically the revenue cycle at large. And as you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, the founder and senior education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And PRN is a healthcare compliance consultancy located in Cincinnati, Ohio, that specializes in revenue cycle and regulatory compliance and education. Now, let me ask you, do you know what it takes to be a certified, marketable medical coder, especially in today's age? Well, before I introduce my co-host, let me share with you information on a free email course on the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder.
Are you interested in medical coding, but not sure where to start and scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder.
Hey, all right. Well, if you are interested in getting more information about the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder, check the video description for the link. All right. Well, joining me today is my partner in success, my co-host, Mr. Jesse, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name, the coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I live in Philadelphia. I left the Bedside in 2014, and I transitioned into risk adjustment coding. During the pandemic in 2020, I created a company, the Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people in healthcare with a clinical background transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
Mm-hmm. And how is that going for you?
It's coming along. I got another first. One of my student who hadn't even sat for any coding exam got hired as an associate DRG validator.
Wow. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Coming out of your classes or still in
Yeah.
your classes? Or good for her
Yeah.
or him.
She started the process before we even finished PCS, but
Okay. Congratulations. A
Thank
win
you.
is a win. A win is a win.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
And what people have to realize, and you don't really hear about it enough on social media, period, is, people think that getting certification is enough. It's not. Like you have to have a resume that's effective, and you have to have some interview skills. Like it's a package. It's not just one. You have to have all of it to get across the finish line.
All of the things, all of the things. Um, and to kind of our subject today, you have to be able to sell yourself. Sell, well, first know your worth and then sell that worth and add tax. I mean, it's it's amazing how many folks, especially now. I mean, in the beginning, I guess I can kind of understand and appreciate uh, why there would be a lot of folks that were behind the scenes or in the little closets that they used to keep the HIM department in and basements and all of the things. Why maybe there wouldn't be so the visibility. But nowadays, the way the world is, that's so visible and folks want to be seen and heard and all of the things, why folks don't come out and say, hey, this is me, especially in this particular job climate. Hey, this is what I can do. I got all these skills. And the other thing I used to tell people, combine the other skills that you have, because they all connect. Like if you are a parent, baby, the skills that you have in management for the most part is something else. If you have to manage others in other situations that may not necessarily be part of your profession, if you run a business, if you all of those are transferable skills that can assist you in selling yourself to whomever you're trying to sell yourself to. You incorporate those things. Don't let them just be out there just to be out there. Tell the people who you are and what you do. Yeah, okay. See, I done got on the soapbox already. All right, so before we jump in, let me remind you that you can join in and add to the conversation. Don't be shy. Your opinion matters and is welcomed here. So y'all know what to do. Use the chat. And if it's a question for us, kindly place a cue first so that we know it's for us and we don't miss it. So for those who are joining us, and don't be shy. We see y'all on here. I see the numbers. We see y'all. Don't be shy. Talk. You can talk. It's all right. Again, we're trying to get you to come out your shell and talk. Introduce yourself. Say who you are. Shine. I watched that Earth, Wind, and Fire thing in my mind all weekend. You're a shining star, no matter who you are. Come on, y'all. All right. So for those who are just joining us or watching the replay, today we are talking about the series finale, part 3, Claiming Our Seat, the business case for coders. But first, let's get into our church announcement, shall we? That's another song in my head. I probably could sing the song myself. Doom, 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 doom. New stuff on every week. So this week, when you have background music or any kind of music added, before you just had to hit play and it just had to play where it started. Well, now they show you the timeline so you can go in and pick your little place where you want to start. I said, well, look at here.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I mean, all kinds of stuff. I told y'all, if ever you want to come over here and play, get a girl up. I'll let y'all come over here and play. So y'all can see. Try before you buy. All right. Hey. In this community, we believe in each one teach one and give it. We're not gatekeepers over here. We try to give y'all all the things that you need to succeed. I feel like I'm on a future mode. See, I'm sleepy. I told you. I warned y'all at the top of the hour. I warned you. All right. So, I turned it down real low, didn't I? Church announcement. So the one thing I got So I said this, what I talked about earlier about KHIM kind of went into the church announcement. There was a press release from CMS yesterday that mentioned strengthening CMS's oversight of accrediting organizations. Now, accrediting organizations are in multiple areas, hospital, healthcare organizations, as well as our educational entities. And according to this press release, they play a role in determining whether healthcare providers and suppliers participating in Medicare or Medicaid programs meet health and safety requirements. CMS approved accrediting organizations survey more than 9,000 healthcare providers for compliance with health and safety requirements. And then by achieving the accreditation through these programs, these facilities are deemed to meet all applicable federal participation requirements. I know just in my work with behavioral health organizations and entities here in our state, when they changed the law, I think it was two years ago, maybe 3 years ago, where to operate in this behavioral health space in Ohio, you have to be first accredited by an accrediting organization before you can even, get certified by the state to then do the work. And I think Joint Commission, CARF, and the Council on Accreditation are the accrediting folks. And when they first started, these organizations had already existed, but I think some of them were new to the behavioral health space. And so some of their standards was like, did you know that they made this a law that we had to use y'all? Because they weren't ready. They was making this stuff up as they went along. And I talked to many of the compliance professionals at a couple of these accrediting organizations, like, ma'am and sir, we're being forced to use you, but we need to make sure that your standards also incorporate and align with the requirements that they have. That was the whole purpose of them saying we need to have your stamp of approval first, and y'all don't. But they've over the last couple of years since they got forced into doing this have straightened up, tightened it up. But so this thing here became part of a final rule, revising the requirements to bolster the accreditation organization's oversight to ensure providers meet health and safety standards so that patients receive high quality care from our healthcare facilities. The CMS addressed the public comments received in 2024 and is publishing the final rule with comment period to strengthen its oversight of these accrediting organizations. You can find the final rule with the comment period out on CMS. But some of the things that they are changing to these requirements is that they are going to hold the accrediting associations accountable to the same Medicare standards and strengthening comparability of survey processes to those of the state associations that also conduct surveys on behalf of CMS. They're going to ensure that the accrediting organizations remain independent reviewers by addressing conflicts of interest and placing certain limitations on the fee-based consulting services that these accrediting organizations provide to the healthcare facilities they accredit. Baby, sometimes I think I'm in the wrong field. The dollars that pass into these accrediting, you got to pay for the people to come to survey you. You got to pay for their lodging. You got to pay for their transportation. You got to pay for all the things. And it's a minimum of 2 days. Like, you can't just be like, well, y'all only looking at this. Can't we knock this all out? No, I'm in the wrong world. Anyway, this may be an entrepreneurial talk as well.
Mm-hmm.
This may be another pivot or shift. Improving the accrediting organization's performance by requiring the accrediting organizations with unacceptable performance measure scores determined through a direct observation validation survey by CMS, which is going to be a new process for monitoring the accreditation associations or organizations, performance established as a requirement in this rule to submit a publicly reported correction plan to CMS. So I'm about to put folks on some blasts. And then improving consistency and standardization in surveys nationwide by more closely aligning the accreditation organization's survey activity requirements and staff training with those of the state associations. So yeah, they let this cat out the bag. And so kind of paralleling this with CAHIM, they recently sent out an announcement or press release that they are branching off into a couple of different accrediting services, if you will. So they're going to keep their traditional CAHIM that provides accreditation for health information, health informatics. I think it's another thing with health sciences and something else. But then they're branching off to two new businesses that one loosely accredit, similar to what AHIMA was doing by allowing like non-educational organizations to be able to provide services. CAHIM in one of their new bodies is kind of doing the same thing. And then they're also branching off into a workforce accreditation type of situation as well. So folks seeing the writing on the wall and pivoting quickly. That's my church announcement. Mr. Jesse, did you have anything or comments related to any of this?
Well, so what do you mean by workforce? What is it?
Some type of workforce accreditation. So workforce programs related to, I guess in the healthcare field or healthcare scheme of things, they're going to outline some type of accreditation standards related to that and it's not going to be under CAHIM. It was a new name so both of those two new entities actually also have a new name. But they all roll up under there. It was quite interesting. I said, oh, we almost had to pop some popcorn and really dig and dive in, like, for real. It was a popcorn event, not necessarily a tea event. All right. Did you have any church announcement?
No, I don't really have any church announcements, but I'm just really the thing that has fascinated me most about this whole HIM industry is like when you have all of, like you just explained all of this talk around accreditation, but what is the going back to English 101, like what is the general end? Like what's the end goal? And
for this or just accreditation?
Just in the whole process with all of this, splintering and adding this and trying to do that, like, it's like people are moving and they're doing stuff without really coming out and saying what they're doing. And I don't understand why that just seems to be a theme in with these HIM organizations, period. Like AHIMA, AAPC, all of them. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, because I mean, you're almost, well, like I kind of prefaced, for Ohio behavioral health entities, you're forced into getting accreditation. Accreditation used to be a voluntary thing for some entities, and maybe it still is for some, but here in behavioral health, you have to have it. Now, I kind of understand. Well, I think my own personal opinion is they don't have enough reviewers or surveyors at the state level to handle the demand of the increased behavioral health agencies, organizations, and entities that are now sprouting up, because it's big. And so I think having the covering of accreditation standards. So if they meet the accreditation, oh, they'll definitely meet ours. And so our little survey or review can be minimal compared to what they used to have to do, which is, hit all of the different things that an accrediting body does. So it does some of the work for them, but at a cost to those organizations, because it is not cheap. It is $5,000-$8,000 off the top. And for a new business trying to start, that's a heavy lift in some cases. I mean, some folks got stacks on stacks on stacks. Others do not. And they do offer like a little somewhat pay as you go, but even that pay as you go is half down, and then the next, 25%, the next one, it could be a lot. So they got you in a clutch. Now, again, that's only Ohio. I don't know if other states have these requirements. Again, I was always told that it was a voluntary thing, particularly with hospital systems. I don't believe like physician practice. I don't think there's there may be an accreditation for them, but I don't recall that being a big thing in that space where, hey, we're an accredited, provider office, da 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 da. I know it was hospitals, but while it was touted as voluntary, a lot of facilities did it because, again, it showed, or it was a notch on showing that you complied with the CMS participation or Medicare's participation requirements. So you're kind of voluntold to do it if you want to continue to receive federal funding.
Okay.
So yeah, but the thing is, all of these changes actually impact any Medicare certified facilities for deeming purposes, the places that survey, and there are 9 approved accrediting associations that Medicare has kind of put their stamp of approval on. But none of these have anything to do with the accrediting bodies that accredit clinical laboratories, non-certified suppliers, which include suppliers of advanced diagnostic imaging, home infusion therapy, and diabetic self-management training, as well as durable medical equipment suppliers and suppliers of prosthetics, orthotics, and supplies, or DME/POS. So they're kind of exempt from this rule for now.
Okay.
Keep living. They may have something for them too. Okay. Well, that was the church announcement segment. Hey. All right. Well, let the tea spilling begin. So again, good morning, and welcome back to the Saturday morning tea, where we serve up the real talk our profession needs. We pour up something warm, something real, and something that genuinely matters for your career in health information management, medical coding, and compliance. I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, with my partner in success, the coding nurse. And if you're new here, welcome. We try to meet every Sunday or every Saturday morning. See, I'm on church to demystify medical coding, billing, and everything that keeps healthcare revenue flowing, and talk about the things in healthcare that actually matter for your career, your compliance, and your paycheck. So to my returning friends, thank you for being here. Get your cup. Again, no judgment about what type of cup and what's in the cup, and come on in the room. So, all right. So this one we've been building toward. this episode is the series finale. Look, I feel like I've done a series for real. The series finale. So my question always comes back to, if your coding team walked out on Monday morning and did not come back, how long before your organization felt it in the revenue cycle, in the compliance program, and in the C-suite? Now take your time with that answer, because this episode is going to give you the data to answer it with precision. Again, this is part 3, the series finale of Respect the Code, the invisible workforce powering healthcare. In part 1, we trace the roots, how a workforce this essential became this overlooked. In part 2, we named the human costs, the burnout, the compensation gaps, the isolation, and the exodus happening right now. And then today we want to close the series the PRM way. We name the problem, we show the data, and we chart the path forward. And we walk out of this conversation with something concrete in our hands. So part 3 is the reclamation. Let us begin that. So the dollars don't lie. Revenue integrity as the business case. So I want to start with something that I think you all need to know. All of you in revenue cycle, coding, clinical documentation improvement, and even your around the way health information professional. You need to understand about your own professional value, direct, confident. And this is a declaration of your worth. You're not a cost center. You are a revenue protection function. And the data proves that. Let me give you some numbers to help you understand, because it helped me understand. And when you're talking to your senior leaders, your executive, your C-suite, numbers are the language of respect. So in 2025, one coding integrity partner delivered more than $800 million in cash benefit to client health systems, simply by ensuring clinical complexity was fully reflected in coded records before they billed them. $800 million from coding integrity alone. And this is not a back office administrative function. This is a strategic revenue asset. In MD Audit's AI-powered revenue integrity solutions delivered more than $500 million in return on investment across its customer base in 2025. So customers retained over $375 million in total revenues by responding to payers in a timely and accurate manner, all while keeping human coders in the loop. Now, I want you to notice something in that last data point. $500 million in return on investment from an AI-powered solutions while keeping humans in the loop, not instead of humans, with humans, because that is how revenue integrity actually works. One chief information officer put it as simply as it could be said when asked about where healthcare organizations are investing their technology dollars. He said, every denial avoided is thousands of dollars we don't have to chase. Every denial avoided, thousands of dollars. Multiply across every chart a credentialed coder reviews every day. So this is a business case, not a number on a spreadsheet, as a lived reality inside every revenue cycle in American healthcare. So the next time someone in your organization looks at the coding workforce as an administrative overhead line, because often they do, hand them these numbers, because it could all be so simple if leadership understood what accurate coding actually protects. We protect the dollars. We protect that money. We get the money. We help generate the money coming in, because we are trying to make sure across the many facets that we touch that we're accurately and appropriately being paid for the services that are provided by these entities. Go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in because, I have been saying this for ages. And since I have gotten into HIM and since we've been doing this podcast, I have drawn the parallel all the time that this is just like what is going on in nursing. And the problem is, in my opinion, you either have the wrong people in the room or there aren't, or they don't have people in the room to speak to the value that coders bring. Just like you have these administrators who there's nobody there to effectively speak to the value of nursing care and safe staffing. And actually, on Monday, speaking of LinkedIn, on Monday, I have another. It's actually it's too long to post, so I have an article coming out on LinkedIn about this whole um, coding being seen as an administrative task, and what it really is the C-suite. Well, everybody above coding has zero respect for what coding does, and I have never ever seen any any other industry that is so reliant on it for money, but it gets no respect. Like, and you have people who have no idea. Like, you have these people, because I've been saying it for years. I don't know how you can go into CDI and you don't know coding. And just like this person has said about a denial avoided saves thousands of dollars. People have no idea. And that was an article that I did post on LinkedIn earlier this week about how it ties up revenue and you don't know. And it's a whole lot of back and forth that could really, really be avoided.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody is addressing that. Like, they don't talk about that because the people in charge think that, once again, coding is beneath them. And I don't know how it got like that, but I know it's like that. And I know that it's up to the industry to really change it. We have to get you have to get the right people in the room. And I just don't believe that the right people are in the room at the moment.
I agree. And I think in some cases, in a lot of facilities, the coding function, while it sits in the revenue cycle, squarely in mid revenue cycle, when it was detached, because it used to, even though the coding function, and I'm just speaking on that piece, which is part of health information, when it sat squarely in health information, they reported to health information people, it felt a little different. When it shifted to now being part of a revenue cycle department under your CFOs and in finance and under that, I think some of that, just for me, is where it started feeling kind of different. You kind of, that's when a lot of the productivity, I mean, not that there wasn't, but the amount, the percentages, the large push for production happened when things shifted under finance. And I don't know if that plays a part in it. I just know it felt different. Just for me, it felt different. Because you're not necessarily with your people at this point who kind of know what you do, kind of, if you're under health information leadership, oftentimes, they know the deal, and they can maybe kind of somewhat go to bat for you. In these revenue cycle or finance driven departments, maybe not as much, because they may come in, and I think a lot of people talk about how their managers or directors or, well, can't say supervisors. Most supervisors have some sort of coding background, but some of those that are higher up, they don't have any health information background. They come in with their finance degrees, or they come in with something else, because it's comparable to the job that they are hired to do, which is to direct this finance department or what have you. So they don't really know, unless told, what really goes on in this function. And again, it looks like something that is one can be easily automated, which folks are learning clearly it's not. Something that should be productivity pushed, which again, accuracy should play a bigger role in those productivity numbers. You just don't, I don't think, and unless somebody is intentionally sitting down with and having conversations with those who are on the front line doing this particular job to appreciate and understand what it is that they do, they'll never know, and they'll continue this push in that direction. At least that's just my little piece of tea for the day.
But but I do understand. I understand that, and I understand like the role of a CFO. But but there should be somebody to say, well, if you do this, what you're going to do is cause a bottleneck further along in the revenue cycle because your money's going to be tied up or you're going to have to pay it back. So what is the long-term benefit? And how you have mentioned people they're bringing in people who are into finance. That happened in nursing a long time, decades ago. That's why I'm telling. I saw this is just nothing but living through the transition in nursing all over again. Because what happens is there was a time in nursing where you had everybody started out as a floor nurse and you worked your way up. Now, when you don't have that experience, then you're not able to speak to the need for the people who are still having that experience, who are still in the trenches. And it's the same in coding. If you don't have somebody, if you don't have a coding manager, if you don't have somebody who is a director who's willing to get in that room and say, well, if you do this, you're going to, number one, run people away and you're not going to increase money. And it doesn't matter what this machine said. And you just have to, at some point in time, people just have to grow some cojones and seriously and call a thing, because you have these people who make these crazy, even just production metrics. For instance, I have been on jobs where I have told people, because I've been the first in several positions, and I have told people, especially about productivity, well, this is what can be expected. So, or what is reasonable. Then because somebody on the client side said, I don't care what they said, because guess what? If they think that it can be done, let them do it. I'm not going to do it. Because I'm not going to run around like, especially when you want quality work. And you don't have people who stand on business like that. And if enough people stood on business, it wouldn't happen. Now, is there a need or is there a use case for automation and coding? Absolutely. But the way that they were trying, and even now, a lot of places have started backing up off of AI, because what they're really realizing is it all sounded good in theory, but when they started getting the bill for all them tokens that are being used, they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Time out. So the money that you were spending on human bodies and having them, you're now spending the same money, or if not more on tokens. The math doesn't make it make sense. Wow. All right, so I want to add like a little compliance imperative here. So every person in this profession needs to understand this with absolute clarity, because the stakes have never been higher and the enforcement environment has never been more active. So let us start with the False Claims Act, or the FCA. The FCA is the federal statute that prohibits the submission of fraudulent claims to government healthcare programs. It carries significant financial penalties per false claim, and it is the primary legal mechanism through which the Department of Justice pursues healthcare fraud in the United States. In 2025, the Department of Justice FCA recoveries total approximately $5.7 billion. 84% of that was related to healthcare. The Department of Justice Civil Division reported nearly 500 new FCA cases initiated in just the second half of fiscal year 2025. And whistleblower initiated key TAM filings reached their highest level since the statute was enacted. $5.7 billion. 84% of that is healthcare, and nearly 500 new cases in 6 months. And then, of course, the key TAM filings, or the whistleblower mechanisms that provide or that allow private individuals to file suit on behalf of the government at an all-time high. So let me tell you about the story. And I think we talked about this because the date matters. This happened January 14th, 2026. The Department of Justice announced the largest FCA settlement in Medicare Advantage history. The Kaiser Permanente, remember this, affiliates agreed to pay $556 million to resolve allegations involving inaccurate diagnosis codes submitted to increase risk adjustment payments from CMS. Allegation included mining patient records for unsubmitted diagnoses and pressuring physicians to add diagnoses after encounters had already been concluded. So this settlement of $556 million and was the largest one. And then 2 months later, in March, a second major settlement landed. And this one was with Aetna, and they agreed to pay $117.7 million to resolve an FCA allegation that it submitted or failed to correct inaccurate diagnosis codes for its Medicare Advantage plan enrollees to increase risk adjustment payments from CMS. The settlement stemmed in part from a key TAM filed by a former Aetna risk adjustment coding auditor. So an auditor filed the whistleblower claim. Not a physician, not a hospital executive, not even a government regulator, but a coding auditor who understood the documentation and who knew the guidelines and who recognized the violation and put it all out there on record. That is what professional authority looks like in this field. That is what coding expertise is worth when it is exercised with integrity. And in the regulatory environment around this is only intensifying. Back in February of this year, the OIG issued its new industry compliance program guidance, the ICPG, for Medicare Advantage. We talked about that. And this was the first major update to that guidance since 1999. And it makes something unmistakably clear, that it covers contracted providers and coding operations, not just the health plans. Every entity participating in the Medicare Advantage program is now on notice that coding accuracy and documentation integrity are compliance obligations subject to the False Claims Act exposure. So this guidance specifically identifies HCC coding as a high priority area of the OIG and the Department of Justice enforcement scrutiny. And then the RAC audit contractors, or the RAC, that audit landscape compounds this further. So RAC auditors focus specifically on DRGs, the validation, medical necessity, and evaluation and management coding patterns. Providers whose billing deviate significantly from peers are priority audit targets. So the compliance case for investing in the coding workforce is not theoretical. It is written in a $5.7 billion worth of federal recoveries, 2 non-figure settlements, and a brand new OIG guidance document that names coding specifically. It could all be so simple if organizations understood that their coding team is not just revenue, it is their compliance defense. Let us talk about where this profession is going. Because again, while parts 1 and 2 of this series were largely about what has been done to coders, part 3 is about where coders are headed, and the direction hopefully is up if you position yourself right. Healthcare in the United States is in the middle of a structural transition from fee for service, where providers are paid per services rendered, to value based care, where providers are paid based on patient outcomes, quality metrics, and population health management. And at the center of that transition is risk adjustment. So, risk adjustment is the mechanism by which Medicare Advantage plans receive reimbursement from CMS. It is built on HCC coding, hierarchical condition category coding, which translates patients' diagnoses into a risk adjustment factor score, or RAF score, that determines how much a plan is paid to care for that patient's complexity. Remember, CMS is completing its full transition to CMS HCC version 28 in the payment year 2026. The new model makes coding specificity non-negotiable. Conditions that were adequately captured under the prior model may now require more detailed documentation to map to the correct HCC category. Social determinants of health codes are also expanding into the risk model, adding new documentation and coding requirements. Mr. Jesse, were you trying to?
Mm-mm.
Oh, specificity, non-negotiable. That is CMS's language, not mine, not even the people in the article that I pulled. It means that the margin for imprecise coding is shrinking exactly as the compliance stakes for inaccurate coding are rising. So some prospective coding approaches when capturing HCC diagnosis during patient encounters rather than retrospectively reduce the need for retrospective chart review by 30 to 50%. Organizations with structured prospective risk adjustment programs have seen up to a 35% drop in audit findings. So finding the way to take a look at this prior to going out the door has always been actually the gold standard, and should be the way that things are captured versus on the back end. So 30 to 50% reduction in retrospective reviews, 35% fewer audit findings. These are not incremental improvements. They are organizational transformations driven by skilled, specialized coders who understand the model and apply it with precision. The value-based care transition is not a threat to the coding profession. It is actually an expansion of it. Every Medicare Advantage contract your organization holds is a compliance and revenue obligation that only a credentialed, knowledgeable coder can fully protect. I also want to address the AI truth and why coders are more essential, not less. And we've talked about this. We've lifted the hat. We've talked all about AI and what's happening. And more recently, we talked about how some folks who have truly relied on computer assisted coding, I'll say that, for the bulk of their year, they're going to be in trouble. Because if you don't understand and appreciate that the tool is a suggestive tool to assist you, if you don't know how to get to the accuracy of the coding and understanding the guidelines for yourself versus having the machine give you something. Okay. Anyway, this is one topic that generates more anxiety in this profession than any other right now. And it is this one. And I want to replace that anxiety with clarity. Yes, AI is being deployed across the revenue cycle. We know this. The natural language processing tools are reading physician notes, in some cases, writing the physician notes. That's a whole other conversation. And suggesting codes in real time. These automation platforms are processing charts at speeds no human coder could even think about matching. That is real, and that's probably not going to go away. But here is what is also real, and what the OIG has made explicit in its 2026 guidance, that these AI coding tools require human validation. The OIG's guidance specifically addresses the compliance risks of AI assisted coding and diagnosis tools, noting that diagnoses must be validated during an actual clinical encounter, not generated by an algorithm reviewing historical records. Again, AI, we talked about this too. AI can suggest. Only a trained coder can confirm medical necessity, validate against payer policy, apply clinical judgment to ambiguous documentation, and ensure the code set is defensible under audit. The organizations that deploy these AI coding tools without credentialed human oversight are not just risking accuracy, they are building FCA exposure into their revenue cycle, and one unvalidated code at a time. And here's the shift that the industry data reflects. Healthcare organizations are not looking for fewer coders, they are looking for coders with different skills. Coders who understand AI output validation, coders who can serve as clinical intelligence leaders, coders who know the MEET criteria, monitor, evaluate, assess, and treat for HCC evaluation or validation, I'm sorry. Coders who can look at what an algorithm produce and determine whether it is compliant, accurate, and defensible. And that is not a diminished role. That is an elevated one. And it belongs to the professionals who invest in the credentials and expertise to fill it. But it also belongs to those who can speak truth to power and who can tell people, this is what I bring to the table. This is what I can do. And I can show you probably better than I can tell you. But far too often, as we have discussed several times, people are not saying anything. They're waiting for somebody else to say. They're waiting for the profession to say. They're waiting for others to tout their horn. When you know what you know, what you know, let them know. Tell them. What I'm trying to think of T.I. song. Tell them. AI is not replacing coders. AI is raising the bar for what a coder needs to know. And the coders who need to meet that bar, they will be among the most valuable professionals in American healthcare. So those coders who are and this is probably the elephant in the room, those coders who are credentialed, who study to pass a credentialing exam, but not understand the fundamental foundations of what coding actually is, maybe you're going to be in trouble. It's coming for you. You got to know what you know. Know what you know.
Well, that's most coders.
They coming for you, because if you only train to or only learn to master an exam but not the fundamentals, how will you ever be able to repurpose that knowledge into an auditor or a validator, which is what these new roles are going to become? You got to start all over from scratch because you didn't learn how to do it. How can you possibly be able to identify and see where there may potentially be an error when you don't even know how they got there? Okay, I'm sorry. Now,
But
go ahead.
But I say it all the time. Like it's not their fault because they are told something that is not true. It's there's a whole lot of fraud in HIM period, and it's not just on the facility side. It's a lot of fraud when it comes to education, and with for risk adjustment to be as important as it is. I mean, because I transitioned in risk adjustment when it was really first getting kicked off. And first of all, what risk adjustment coders get paid nowadays in 2026 is ridiculous for the work that is expected for them to do. And you cannot, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I'm gonna just get to the education part. Like Every time I tutor somebody, I just become more and more annoyed with these self-study programs because I always start with, because whenever we know that the majority of people who struggle to understand coding or struggle to pass an exam is because they don't know the guidelines. That's fact.
Right.
And so I always start with, can you name one coding guideline off the top of your head? Do you mean like diabetes? I mean any. No, they can't. It's not their fault. Whoever they paid, that's whose fault it is. If you don't, and the thing about it is, you don't even need to memorize the entire code book. There's only really 6 chapters you got to know like the back of your hand to do your job and pass your test. Let's just be clear. It's
Uh-huh.
not. It's not the whole book. And they can't even focus on that. Like it's just it's criminal to take people's money. And then not only that, I'll just stop right there because it's already after
Well, I
10.
think I agree with you, and I think there are a lot of places. So here's the pain point. The pain point is, well, you got a couple of them, but the main pain point is I want to pass a certification exam. Help me pass a certification exam. What do I need to do to pass a certification exam? When and all of those things are valid. However, the educator or the person who or the trainer or the instructor, whomever, needs to take that pain point, appreciate that ultimately that's the end goal for the person that they're dealing with or talking to. But you have to impress upon them, you need to learn a skill. In order to get to your goal, we got to take the steps for you to learn the skill. And not just, okay, well, let's look at the test and let's answer these questions, and without having any background, without having any appreciation, as we both know, for the guidelines, the guidance that help you understand. Because it's not about being able to technically answer a question because you see it and you can eliminate and you can do all of the things with the multiple choice exam. Because I can't wait, well, for some of them to put those fill in the blank. That's gonna that when you have to actually code something for a certification exam, that's gonna raise the bar for a lot of folks. Because then, oh, I need to know how to do. Well, you should have known how to did it from the beginning. That should have been what the whole process was about. I need to learn the skill. Yes, I want to get certified, but I need to know how to do this thing, not just get to the end result of thinking I know a little bit about it, enough to be quote quote dangerous or enough to pass an exam. And for some folks, they still ain't passing an exam because you don't know you don't have a foundation. You don't have a foundation. And some, the exam, I won't even say the exam is hard or difficult. If you know your guidance, if you can appreciate what the guidelines are around a particular type of service, if you can appreciate what the guidance in the book that they allow you to have when you take that test is, when you're answering those questions, versus trying to play the game of, all of the things that you've taught. And there is strategy in taking a multiple choice exam. I will not walk away from that. I know it. I teach it. I tell folks, even my people, there is a strategy in what to do in taking, especially a timed multiple choice exam. However, all of that goes out the window if you don't have a foundation on what it is that you're testing for. It all goes out the window. You have to have the foundation. You have to know what it is that you're doing. Or you gonna be them people in these in those threads that y'all see all the time. I done tried to take this test 8 times and I still can't get it.
Exactly.
And taking this test 8 times has cost folks a lot of money.
But see, but that's where we get into the grift.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is where we have to start calling out these organizations, because how and why did AAPC start not including 2 attempts?
They've been pulled that out.
But I'm saying that, but the thing is, people need to people need to call them out. Like, no,
Yeah, that was that's a money grab.
exactly.
Absolutely.
We know that's what it is, and they have the data to know. Because first of all, the stuff that their information, I tell them to their face, they lying. Their pass rates they put out, it is not that. All you got to do is go to YZN and you'll see. All you got to do is go to a Facebook group. You'll see these people are not passing these exams on the first or a lot of times second attempt. They're not. And it's because they don't know the guidelines. And it's because it's not their fault. They haven't been taught. If you haven't been taught something, it's not your fault. You don't know it. And they're not being told that's the way to get through a timed coding exam.
Yes.
Anybody will tell you any coding exam you take is all about the guidelines. Period.
All about. Every year and extra T every year when the codes when the exams changes, it's focused on whatever the new guidance is for that year. That's why it's important to have a current year manual when you're taking your exam.
That's just like, it blew my mind this year. For ages, you did not code hypertension and cardiomegaly separately. It was always just one code, I-11.9. Not anymore.
Not anymore. So you have to keep up with with the guidance. So, and not only do you have to keep up with that guidance just for successful passage of an exam, you got to keep up with the guidance for your work. That's your work product. How do you expect to stay current? This is a lifelong learning profession. You are going to learn something new every day. You're going to learn something new with the changes of our guidances and all of the things. You're going to and you're going to have to know the stuff. Not memorize it, just know it and know where to find it and know where to access it when you need it. Not, oh, I didn't know. Where did that come from? No, every year you should be cracking open you don't even crack open. You can even find the guidelines online. Go through those guidelines, things that are applicable to the type of services that you are coding. Get in there and know that. You have to know that in order to do this job and to then appreciate the shift that AI is forcing coders to do in validation and auditing. If you don't get in there and know that stuff, how are you going to be marketable enough to get out there and say, well, I could do that job? No, you can't. No, you can't. And you're going to have to be honest with yourself. No, you
can't. And it's not just the CM guidelines, it's CPT.
It's all of them.
Because case in point, like interventional radiology, like the CIRCC, like the CPT came out with a whole section. They revised 46 codes, 46 new codes just this year.
All of them. And there are more coming. More on the horizon this year. I mean, for 2027, all of them. Come on, y'all. That's the stuff that you have to do to stay current. That's the stuff you have to do to stay marketable. You can't just set it and forget it. Oh, okay, well, even for those, I figured it out. I passed the exam. I learned how to do whatever. And now I'm being fed from these computer assisted tools. Oh, I'm being fed. Oh, this is a breeze. This is easy. Is it though? Because what does your accuracy look like? Can you tell the people how you got what you got? Can you support it? Can you actually have a conversation about this is the reason why I stood on business 10 toes down because versus, oh, well, this is what the thing said. And so I just took it and ran. That's why we don't get the respect that we deserve in some cases, because we don't know it. We can't speak truth to power. Okay. I feel like I'm on a whole soapbox for real today. Look what you have pushed me to. No, okay.
and the whole not speaking truth to power, I'm telling you, like it's only a matter before them white stockings and them nursing caps come and take over. The British are coming.
All of the things. All of the things. because they hear it and appreciate it because they know a little bit about guidance and protocols and standards and stuff.
I'm
Shouldn't
telling
you?
you, the amount of nurses who are starting to reach out and starting to really inquire is the British are coming. Like they are jumping ship. And if coders don't get it together, it's going to be looking very different in a few years.
But we need good, qualified, credentialed, know their stuff folks to come in, because also we talked about the exodus of a lot of these coders, some who probably need to exit, and others who may be at the retirement age, others who actually got into this field as a second career, and again maybe at the age where they're transitioning out. You got to have a front load, and that front load is not coming as quickly as it should. So there's and to your point, there's some work even to awareness of this profession, awareness of what we do, awareness for those who are, just coming out of high school. Hell, some of them in middle school, talk the talk. Let me show you what I do. This, and I hear from a lot of students, they'll tell me either a family member does this type of work, or I've worked in a healthcare facility and I didn't realize that there was kind of an administrative business side to healthcare that I could potentially navigate and still be working within healthcare, but without touching people. So just yes, this exists for a lot of people, and they just don't realize it or don't know it until later on in life. And here we are with, I think we saw some statistics yesterday that the average HIM professional is in like their 40s, the average age. In a few years, 20 years, they out. Who coming in behind? And we don't get a lot of fresh out of high school people or even fresh out of college people coming in saying, okay, boom, I want to do da 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 da, unless they specifically train for it. But we don't get a lot of high schoolers coming in. Oh, I want to go to school for this.
But
a lot of them don't even know.
But it's all marketing. Like I'm telling, like these
You're
people.
Right.
These people are so busy because I don't talk about it as much as because last year I was all about gatekeeping, and we don't talk enough about the gatekeeping that goes on in our profession, because with all of these people who are walking around with bachelor's and master's degrees in specialties in fields that they can't get jobs, like you have all these people who are going around with all these psychology degrees. Why would you not want that person to become a daggone behavioral health biller or coder? Like, why not? Like that's like a no-brainer. Like they already have a body of knowledge that could really help them and could really help that that niche. But do you with all these people losing jobs, have you seen any ad where they are talking about, well, you use your degree in a different way, consider medical coding? No,
Can't say that I have.
because they're too busy being old and stuffy. That's why. and outdated, and nobody ever challenges them on anything. I just think that when you get to be a certain age, and I'm of a certain age, but people just need to go sit the F down and just get out the way.
Let these kids do what they do.
Exactly. Get out the way. No, nobody cares what happened in 1902. Nobody.
You set the foundation. Be okay with setting that foundation, and let them innovate on top of that, because that's the structure. You still gonna build. Folks are gonna build upon. Let them build. Let them cook.
Because that's exactly what's going on. Because they're so busy gatekeeping, but what they don't understand is the powers that be done circumvented and done built a whole fortress around you. Now you stuck, and you don't
You
even realize you
stuck.
stuck. You don't even realize it. Because guess
Yeah.
what? Because all you got to do is go on LinkedIn. They have these little flyers because them people those Southeast Asians, baby, they will give you a nice AI graphic.
Don't they?
Their graphics
They're
are top
beautiful.
notch. But guess what? They are top notch with a whole list of all these open houses they have for entry level jobs. Where do you see that over here? You don't. But you so busy gatekeeping. Keep on gatekeeping.
Mm-mm. Goodness. All right. So I have a few more things. Just I think probably about 10 minutes, maybe ish. Okay. So because I feel like this is still such rich information, things you need to know, things that don't ever for real get said, unless you over here and you've been part of our family for the years we've been out here, because we've said a lot of these things, but we're just trying to bring it all together because we had a conversation one day. Mr. Jesse talked about the whole disrespect, and that's how this whole series came together. Like, why? Let's break this down. Why are the coders or the health information profession, but specifically the coders, CDI professionals, why are they being disrespected in such a way? Those particularly on the health information side. All right, so I want to get practical because this series has given us the why, and part 3 really gives us the how. Professional authority is not given, it is built, and it is built from the inside out, starting with how you see your own value, moving to how you communicate it within your organization, and eventually extending to how you represent this profession in the broader healthcare conversation. So, authority pivot. Number 1, claim your seat from the inside out. You can build your compliance contribution record, document what you prevent, denials caught before submission, audit risk flag, documentation gaps closed before they become FCA exposure. Attach numbers to this. You know what? Not only can you use this for uh, uh, providing information on your worth and your value, this is the kind of stuff that you should be using when it's time for your annual evaluations. These are the numbers that you need to present to say, you know what, I did da 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 da. Yeah, the department might have got credit, but it was me that saw da 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 and did da 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 and said da 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 da. Request formal inclusion in one strategic conversation this quarter. A compliance committee, an AI implementation discussion, a revenue integrity review. Come with data. Your presence in that room is your first act of professional authority. And then prepare a one-page executive briefing for your HIM director or CFO using the data from the series. You can get it from me. Frame it as a business conversation. Compliance protection, revenue integrity, FCA exposure reduction. Numbers earn access in ways that feelings cannot. Show the data. Also, expand through specialization. Identify the highest stakes specialty in your organization's payer mix. If your organization has Medicare Advantage contracts, the CRC may be your route to go. The Certified Risk Adjustment Coder through AAPC. Align your credential path to your organization's strategic direction, not just your personal interests. If you're planning on staying with this organization, the intersection of your expertise and your organization's compliance needs is where your authority lives. And then position yourself as the subject matter expert within your organization first. Present at a team meeting. Offer to train a colleague. Expertise that stays internal is invisible. Expertise that gets shared becomes authority. Advocate beyond your organization. Engage with your chapters, AAPC, AHIMA, all of the things. These are opportunities to connect, learn, and plant your flag in either your local or national organizations. Write, speak, or mentor. Share what you know, even with us in the PRN community. Come on over here and share what you know. Share it on LinkedIn or in a professional forum. You do not need a title to have a voice. Share. Sharing is caring. Become the advocate for coders that you needed when you were starting out. Mentorship is one of the most powerful professional authority moves available, and it costs nothing but intention. That's probably how we all started over here at the PRN Sippers with mentorship and assisting because of not wanting to be called gatekeepers and doing what we do and providing the information we provide. I want to step out from behind the coder perspective for a moment and speak directly to the organizational leaders who may be watching this. So your HR directors, your CFOs, the revenue cycle vice presidents, and even the compliance officers who have found their way to this conversation. The data in this series has told a clear story. The medical coding workforce is critical, undervalued, under-resourced, and increasingly under-retained. And the cost of that undervaluation is now measurable in workforce attrition, in claim denials, in compliance exposure, and in nine-figure federal settlements. So the question for leadership is no longer whether to invest in the coding workforce. The compliance and revenue data have answered that. The question is how and how quickly should you be investing? So one ways, there are some 5 non-negotiables that organizational leaderships should do now. Update compensation to reflect the 2026 market reality. Use the salary surveys. I think AAPC has one. I believe Actis actually just put out a coding one. And any adjusted benchmarks. A merit raise that does not keep pace with inflation is a quiet message to your coding workforce that they are not worth retraining and or retaining. Update productivity standards to reflect ICD-10 CM complexity, AI validation workloads, and the CMS HCC V28 specialty or specificity requirements of 2026. These standards set in the ICD-9 era are not management, they are liability.
I'll be right back.
Okay, include credentialed coding professionals in compliance committee discussions and decisions, AI implementation decisions, and revenue integrity strategy from day one. The coding auditor who filed the Aetna KETM understood, the whistleblower case, understood the compliance landscape better than the health plan's own leadership. That expertise belongs at your table. Create visible advancement pathways from coder to auditor to compliance professional. The organizational support for credentialing costs and study time. If a coder cannot see a future in your organization, they will find one somewhere else. And lastly, treat your remote coding workforce as professionals who need community, mentorship, and visibility infrastructure, not just a VPN and a productivity tracker. The $322 billion annual cost of burnout is not a wellness program. It is a leadership problem. So these organizations, or the organizations that treat their coding workforce with the respect their expertise commands, will not just retain better talent, they will have better compliance posture, stronger revenue integrity, lower FCA exposure, and a defensible audit trail when the RAC auditors come calling. And they coming. And the organizations that do not, the data from the series tells that story too. So we have come a long way together in the series, and I want to close it in the way I open every cup of Saturday morning tea, with honesty, with warmth, and with something real. So we had 3 episodes. We had 3 truths. Part 1, you are indispensable. And the system has been treating you as if you are interchangeable. That is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of a broken assumption that the that this series exists to correct. Part two, the human cost of that disrespect is real. It is measured in burnout statistics and compensation gaps and coders leaving a profession they love because they cannot afford to stay. That is not a workforce problem. Again, that is a leadership failure, and that this profession deserves to name clearly. And then part three, the business case is airtight. The revenue integrity data, the FCA enforcement record, the OIG guidance, the HCC complexity, the AI validation imperative. Every piece of it points to the same conclusion. The medical coding workforce is not a cost center to be managed. It is a strategic asset to be invested in. And now the reclamation. I believe with everything in me that this profession is at a turning point. We see it all the time, probably a little bit every day. Not because the industry woke up on its own, but because coders, CDI specialists, and HI professionals are waking up. They're hearing the messages, they're seeing their value to the data that validates their worth. They're waking up to the community that surrounds them, to the credentials that advance them, and to the advocacy moves that amplify them, even if they are self directed. The seat at the table was always yours. The data in this series is your invitation. The advocacy pivots are your roadmap. And of course, those of us here in the PRN community, here on the Saturday Morning Tea, or also at our PRN Tea Sippers, we're your people. We're here to help you understand what your worth is and help walk you through the nuances that you may encounter as you figure out, calculate the cost, and proclaim your worth. Again, you do not have to wait for your organization to understand your value before you start acting like you know it. Build the compliance record, request the seat, pursue the credential, mentor the next coder, file the report if the documentation is wrong, show up at your local, state, and even national associations. Send the message on LinkedIn and have the conversation with the CFO if need be. Again, it could all be so simple, and it starts with you deciding the reclamation begins today. Yes? Yes. So thank you for being here with us for this entire series. I know it was a lot, but it's been fun. And I really hope that it resonates, not only with you as the HI professional, but also those of you in leadership positions. These 3 episodes of Saturday Morning Tea, these 3 conversations that this profession deserves to have out loud. Yes? Yes. All right. So I'm Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, with my partner in success, Mr. Jesse. I want to let the folks know, wait a minute, let me put this up here because I never do it right. There we go. Okay. That our hot tea sippers, your Take This to Work talking points card is ready in the Patreon. So you can go get it at the bit.ly/the PRN Tea Sippers, or click on the QR code, print it, use it, and take it into every conversation you have been waiting to have. For our elite members, you get that talking point card as well as your mini lecture outline. It's there as well. 15 minutes, your team, this content, go. Mr. Jesse, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, we've tackled a very important issue that's going on in HIM, and I hope that people got something from it, and I hope that they incorporate it and use it to their benefit.
Yes, I agree. We done spilled a lot of tea. We spilled a lot of tea over these 3 episodes, and hopefully you got it. This profession has carried the weight of being overlooked for too long. And I believe, again, with everything in me, that the season of invisibility is ending. Again, not because the industry finally woke up on its own, but because of you, the coders, the CDI specialists, the health information professionals. You are waking up to your value, to your power, and to the community that is building up around you. So pour yourself another cup. Again, no judgment, whatever is in your cup. You have more than earned it. So remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, take care and have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.